Morning, everyone. Pastor Michael Stoops here with Hebron Lutheran Church. It's a good day to have a good day. I hope you are doing well. The weather's getting a little bit warmer, but there's still some frost on the car this morning. Um, but yeah, maybe spring is here. Maybe finally this time. So today we are in day 8 of our NT260 series as we are moving through the New Testament a chapter at a time. And as always, don't feel the need to try and catch up before you can watch today's. Just start with today. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, first time you're catching up with us on Facebook or YouTube, just start with today. And we've been going through the Gospel of Matthew first. And actually, I've just yesterday, I had the opportunity. I knew I wanted to start with the Gospel of Matthew, but now I've plotted out how we're going to do the next 260 days. We're not going to just do it in the order of the New Testament or try some kind of chronological order. But I figured out we're going to do a gospel, a couple of the other books, back to a gospel, a couple other books, back to gospel, a couple other books, back to a gospel, and a couple other books. And so I'll have a little bit more for that, but it's all getting plotted out. So I'm excited about that. So let's get into the Bible, guys. Okay, we're going to be in Matthew chapter 8. So again, for context, remember Matthew 5, 6, and 7 was the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus taught as one with authority. We just see in this teaching just how countercultural it is and how he is inviting us in. And so let's pick it up in chapter 8. When he came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And behold, a leper came to him and knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said to him, See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a proof to them. When he had entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, appealing to him, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. And he said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion replied, Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes. And to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he marveled and said to those who followed him, Truly I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And to the centurion, Jesus said, Go, let it be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed at that very moment. And when Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother-in-law lying sick with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she rose and began to serve him. That evening they brought to him many who were oppressed by demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet Isaiah. He took our illnesses and bore our diseases. Now, when Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to go over to the other side. And a scribe came up and said to him, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Another of the disciples said to him, Lord, let me go first and bury my father. And Jesus said to him, Follow me and leave the dead to bury their own dead. And when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that the boat was being swamped by the waves. But he was asleep. And they went and woke him, saying, Save us, Lord, we are perishing. And he said to them, Why are you afraid, O you of little faith? Then he rose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And the men marveled, saying, What sort of man is this, that even winds and sea obey him? And when he came to the other side, to the country of the Gadarenes, there's different possibilities of whether that's the Gerasenes or the Gerasenes or the Gadar. It's too early to try to do biblical names. There were two demon-possessed men This isn't a place you want to go anyway, so it doesn't matter how you say it. There were two demon-possessed men met him, coming out of the tomb so fierce that no one could pass that way. And behold, they cried out, "What have you to do with us, O Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now a herd of pigs was feeding at some distance from them, and the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, send us away into the herd of pigs." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and went into the pigs, and behold, the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the waters. The herdsmen fled, and going into the city, they told everyone, especially what had happened to the demon possessed men. And behold, all the city came out to meet Jesus. And when they saw him, they begged him to leave their region. Now we're going to stop there because we're doing the chapter a day, but sometimes we also have to remember that these chapters were introduced later. I'm going to do a separate video about that, and so we don't want to get caught up in, oh well, this chapter ends here and that has some kind of special meaning. This was all one narrative, and so people would have heard the Sermon on the Mount moving right into chapter 8. And what we saw here was in chapter 8, or sorry, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus speaks as one with authority. And then what we see unfolding in chapter 8 is that he's not just a great teacher. He's not just one who teaches with authority. He is one who lives with authority. He is one who embodies authority, as we know, as the Son of God. I mean, he shows his authority in a variety of ways, right? He shows his authority over illnesses, right? The leper, the man with leprosy, which in the Old Testament as well as in the New Testament is just kind of this grab bag for some kind of skin disease, right? And it might not exactly be what we think of as leprosy today, but he's got these skin diseases that people are bringing to him, and he heals them. I mean, even this centurion, this Gentile, this non-Jew, this guy is outside of God's people, goes, "Hey, I know what it's like to be under authority, right? If I tell my folks that they got to do this, they got to do that. In the army, in the military, if there's a chain of command, I know where I am on that chain of command, and I know what happens. And you're in a chain of command essentially, right? There's Jesus, and then all of the created order, all of illness, sickness, all of that. And so you just say the word, boom, my servant's healed." And Jesus does it. He's there showing he is one with authority. He can heal even from that kind of distance, which again would be unusual. Like, this is not some kind of a witch doctor, or he's saying some kind of incantations, or even he's kind of administering some kind of medicine. He's bringing healing from a place far away from wherever the centurion was. Right? Again, and we see these, these stories after stories. He heals Peter's mother-in-law who's lying sick with fever. And maybe I should just pause here because, maybe I'm just reflecting on this now, of like, for a lot of us, having lived in an era where antibiotics are so available in the Western world, where penicillin and penicillin-based medicines have saved countless life, where the smallpox vaccine, the polio vaccine, all of these things have, through the grace of God, saved millions of lives, and are continuing to save millions of lives in the developing world. Sometimes we can forget how scary disease and sickness can be. Now, I think I don't want to get into the whole political side or any of that about the pandemic, but I think it was the first time for many of us where there's some kind, especially in those first days, there's something out there that's mysterious and something that we can't quite control and something we're not quite sure how to deal with, and we kind of feel that sense of chaos, if you will. No one exactly knows what's happening or exactly how to keep ourselves or our loved ones safe. Um, and we can talk about the responses to that. But think about it. In the ancient world, like, you're not going to the doctor and going, "Hey, yeah, I need a steroid shot. I need some antibiotics. I can't go to the store and get some Tylenol just because I have a headache," and stuff. Like, the disease, and that just it introduces this kind of sense of chaos, this sense of uncertainty, sense of fear, really. Because I mean, we even today, we know you can be perfectly healthy and then you can come down with some kind of illness, and it can be over. And yet, at the same time, in the ancient world, that was even all the more prevalent, especially if you were young. It was very easy that, even going into the Middle Ages, we have the Black Death wipe out a third of the population of Europe. I mean, that's a source of chaos. That has to be a source of anxiety. And what Jesus here is doing is showing his command over the chaos, right? His command over that which scares us. And maybe that's the way to bring it to us. Because yeah, maybe we're not afraid to catch a common cold, or oh, I have the sniffles, I'm not too worried about that, or even some more serious things. We're like, oh well, at least they caught it early. They've got surgeries or procedures or medicines to take care of things today, and those are all by the grace of God, and we should avail ourselves of those opportunities. But there's other uncertainties in our life. There's other sources of chaos in our life, sometimes self-created. And Jesus is saying, I even have authority over those, right? He continues down when he is uh, the scene that I think comes to many of our minds when Jesus is asleep, he's taking a nap, he's exhausted after a whole day of doing all of these things, showing all of his authority. He goes into the boat, he falls asleep, and the disciples flip out, and he stands up, rebukes the wind and waves, and it says, and there was a great calm. There was a great calm. Jesus has authority over the chaos to bring calm, to bring peace, to bring order. And that was true 2,000 years ago. It's true today. And even not just over the chaos of the natural world or chaos over diseases and sickness and illnesses, but even order or authority over the forces of spiritual evil, right? That's how our chapter ends, verses 28 and following. These two demon possessed men. It's not just one demon possessed man. Like that would be enough to, kind of flip me out. And again, these guys are demon possessed. They're hanging out by the tombs because that kind of would be on the outskirts, kind of no man's land. No one can even go there. I guess living next to a cemetery or having my office right next to a cemetery. I mean, like, wouldn't that be kind of weird if like, hey, don't go out there. There's Jim Bob out there, and he's got like legions there. Let's stay clear. It's kind of funny to think about, or not funny, kind of haha. But in that scene where people don't even want to go into the area, Jesus declares his authority over the forces of spiritual darkness, over demons. And again, we can kind of push that out in our modern mind and go, oh, well, that was a real nice primitive idea, but that's not really something that happens anymore. Okay. Um, Maybe not in the same explicit, conspicuous ways, but I think we all can agree that spiritual evil is real. And it can be anxiety provoking, it can be chaos inducing. And Jesus here again shows he has authority over the chaos to bring a great calm. So often we try to find our peace, find our inner peace by going inward, right? That's kind of the kind of like Zen way of things. And well, if we're also one of those sources of chaos, one of those people who's in rebellion against God, like going into more chaos is not going to produce calm, right? It's just going to produce yet more chaos. And we try to find, oh, well, okay, yeah, I'm facing chaos here, but I'll try to find calm. I'll try to find order by trying to control things, by trying to dictate things, by trying to use people to be more comfortable and be more in control. So we're trying to find calm inside, and that doesn't seem to work. We try to find it outside in our world, whether we're trying to self-medicate or distract ourselves or entertain ourselves to death. None of it is producing calm. None of it is producing peace. And that's because we're going to the wrong source. We're not trying to go inward. We're not trying to go to the things of the world that'll make us temporarily feel better or more at peace or more at calm or take our minds off it. But rather, we're supposed to go to the person who has authority. right? It's kind of like when you're, when you're, I mean, this maybe isn't the greatest analogy, but it's like when you're trying to deal with customer service and you very quickly realize the person you're talking to, like they're in over their heads and you feel bad for them, but you're also still frustrated. And so you're like, look, can I talk to someone who can do something? Right? Have you ever done that? Whether you're yelling into the phone, like representative, like I need to talk to someone who can do something. Like we're talking to people who can't do anything. We're talking to ourselves and we can't bring peace. Talking to to alcohol, to drugs, to any of these things to try and bring us peace. It's not working. We go to entertainment and go, wow, yeah, I got that dopamine hit and I kind of forgot for a couple minutes. It's not bringing us peace because we're not going to the one who can actually do something. We're not going to the one with authority over sickness, over uh, spiritual darkness, over the forces of this world, over all of chaos. Right, the ancient Near East, the sea was a form of a symbolic representative of chaos. We have to go to Jesus because he is the one with authority over chaos to bring calm. And so I don't know where, I don't know if you feel inner peace, right? That's something that I feel like eludes me a lot. Like that's something that's always attracted me to people that I feel like are just walking so closely with the Lord, just that sense of calm and peace. And there's something so attractive about that because it's not available anywhere else. Yeah, you have people that kind of, or can be aloof or whatnot, but man, I want that inner peace. And the problem is I go to other places than Jesus because Jesus is the one who actually can bring it. And so where do you need inner peace today? Where are things chaotic in your life? Where's there just, you feel the chaos? Maybe things are okay at home, but man, the chaos around in the surrounding culture, in the surrounding world, right? We're more aware than ever of the chaos of this world through social media, through the internet. Where do we need peace? And how are we going to find peace? Maybe we need to start with the one who actually has the authority to grant it. And whether it's through his teaching, whether it's through his miracles, whether it's through his presence, it is Jesus and Jesus alone who actually has authority over the chaos to bring a great calm. And so I pray that you would seek him today. I pray that you would find that calm and that peace, that as the New Testament will say, a peace that passes all understanding. And we can find that in Jesus. So with that, I wish you the best day.